Buenos dias. So much going on. Morning, Mikes. Good morning. Here we are. What is it? It's Wednesday? Is it a hump day? It's a big day. It is the 7th of January, a major day here in Los Angeles, the 1-year anniversary of the Los Angeles wildfires. I imagine wherever you live in the country, you were watching television and you could not believe what you were seeing. I mean, and imagine being a resident of this city and watching it go up in flames. Amazingly, every bit of evidence historically was there that this could happen. In fact, most people looking back, being armchair quarterbacks, think, well, it was just a matter of time. I mean, Los Angeles is a tinderbox, but still, you just don't ever think something like that can happen, especially in some of these areas. Altadena, which is, more of a blue collar kind of part of town, but really just amazing families, just vibrant community, people just so actively involved in Altadena. And then Pasadena, which, I mean, if you hit, the dream would be to hit it big somewhere and move out to Los Angeles, California, and live in the Pacific Palisades along the bluff. Like you couldn't imagine. Like this is the thing that, soap operas are made of locations like this. It's just absolutely beautiful, and the real estate is through the roof, and so much of it is gone. I saw the Wall Street Journal did a report, by the way, of 9,000 homes. And it's 1/3 of people have got some type of permitting going. That's it. 2/3 have nothing going, and they're still waiting for insurance payouts. It's still a disaster. Cost billions of dollars in losses, $275 billion by some counts. Look, of the 1/3 of people that have taken, permitting or other steps to rebuild, keep this in mind. There are 4% of people who have sold their homes. So those are a lot of people who are just waiting to get some type of progress going. It's just, it's really tough. Let's go back and walk down memory lane for a second. Remember, I think one of the most gripping moments for me, I was, because of my, I had a press pass, and so I could get up into the Palisades area, and the police would let me through, and I was doing my television show at the time from there, and so I called one of my very best friends. He was like, hey, take a turn down my street. He was out of town at the time, and he said, let me know what happened, and I went down Pampas Ricas in the Palisades, Pampas Ricas Boulevard, and that's where he lived, on the corner. And it was, you can roll it. Yeah. I just drove, I'm gonna send you a video. I just drove down Pampas Ricas.
Is the house gone?
What's that?
Is it gone?
Yeah.
Our house is gone.
There's one house that's not gone. It's in the middle. I don't know. It's not yours. I think yours is gone. Like gone. The whole neighborhood is absolutely devastated.
Like razed. Like it's just.
No. It's like a bomb went off. It's like a movie. It's like a terrible movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal. It's like awful. I'm so sorry, buddy. I love you. I'm so sorry. You've been through so much with that place.
Thanks.
I'll send you the video of your street if you want to see it. But it's like.
I do. That way we can just skip.
I know.
You're behind me.
Yeah, I got a fire truck behind me. I got an ambulance behind me. Let me get out of the way. I'll send you this stuff, but I'm sorry, buddy.
Send it my way. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me? I will. It was just... That's a really good friend of mine right there. And I just drove by his house, and it's gone. That's his house. All of his neighbors, gone. Yeah. Jesus, what has happened? Oh my gosh. It's it was just mind blowing that I was just there like days before. It most vibrant community, the Pacific Palisades. Rick Caruso, a name you've probably heard. I don't know if you're aware, but he ran for mayor last time. He lost in 2022. Can you believe the mayoral election in Los Angeles? The primary is June of this year. I can't believe it. I feel like Caruso just lost. He lost 55% to 45%. By the way, it is Rick Caruso's birthday today, January 7th, which is unbelievable. Happy birthday to Rick Caruso. We have a very strong liberal progressive lobby here in Los Angeles, and it is deadly. It is the reason Los Angeles just can't get out of its own way. It's repeat behavior. The fact that a Democrat, even though he only recently called himself a Democrat in time for the mayoral election, he was a longtime Republican and then independent, doesn't matter. This is one of the most intelligent executives who grew up in Los Angeles, ran the LADWP, involved in the police. He knows the inner workings of this city like no one else and is a real executive. He could turn this city around in an instant. He is the greatest hope for Los Angeles, and it can't get out of its way, and it won't elect Rick Caruso. And I bet you the polling right now, because Rick is deciding, I think, whether to run for mayor or to run for governor, and both are happening at the same time. In June of 2026, it's the gubernatorial primary, and it's also the mayoral. I look, if the polling shows that he can't win the mayor's election again, that he hasn't, even in the failure of Karen Bass, our current mayor, and I mean spectacular failure, and in the time that Rick has launched his new initiative, Steadfast LA, and all the work he's done since the fires, and the fires really exposed we don't have great leadership, so it should elevate him. Is it all enough to close a 10% gap? I don't know. I don't think so. Honestly, I think that's how back-ass Los Angeles is and stuck in their ways they are. It's sad. It's really sad. But he may run for governor. And in that case, you can still have a hand in what goes on in Los Angeles, right? A little bit better than Gavin Newsom, gruesome Newsom did. So on your birthday, Rick Caruso, I hope you run for something. State would be very, very lucky to have you. And I would have no problem speaking out loudly on this Democrats' behalf. So, by the way, I texted Rick and I said, any chance he's, no, I guarantee you he's busy. There's no way that Rick Caruso is not awake right now.
He's awake. And actually, I think I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I think he has a good chance of winning as mayor. I just feel like,
he has on his staff right now, to show you how serious he is about politics, Mike Murphy. Remember that name? He helped McCain. He helped Romney. He's a big political strategist and operative. Mike Murphy ran the John McCain campaign. So guy who's worked with Republicans before. He's involved helping Rick. I don't know. I read an article. There was one like sort of Los Angeles political strategist who said that even still, Caruso cannot overcome how deeply progressive this city is. And, look, he's a billionaire. They're very suspect of billionaires. Amazingly, a progressive sees a billionaire and gets like mad, like, oh, they're bad people, right? And a normal person sees a billionaire and says, wow, are they a good person? Did they make that honestly? Could they do that for our city? It doesn't even occur to a progressive, like crazy liberal. I mean, it's just, it's sad.
Yeah.
Caruso is that guy. He grew up in Los Angeles, born and raised. He went to USC. He then went to law school at Pepperdine. He is a man in love with his city and deeply saddened to see how it's been ruined. He has a plan for homelessness, which is the biggest issue.
That's what I was going to say.
You know how many homeless we have in Los Angeles? 187,000. It's considered to be about 1/4 of the homeless in America.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was going to say, if he can figure out
Karen
the homeless.
Bass ain't fixing that or anything else.
Yeah, she hasn't even wanted to, I don't think.
Good morning, everybody. Oh my God, it is a big day here in Los Angeles. I've got one more video that I'm going to share. and then we're going to answer this question. Joy, I hope you're not a smoker. Only just large, expensive cigars. One more video, and that is, the actor from Shrinking, Ted McGinley. Ted McGinley's been, on television for 40 years. He's a great friend, good guy. He called me and he's like, I've been told you have a press pass and you're going up to work. Do you mind if I sit in the back? And can you help me out? I want to see my place and the whole thing. I said, sure. Hop in. So I went up into the Palisades. This is 2 days after the fires hit. So it's about, I think it's January 9th. So you can roll this. Here we go.
Devastated to the left. Everything devastated to the right. Look at this guy's house. It's just standing there. Oh, look at all the ash.
That was amazing to me. Some houses were untouched.
Julia's house may be going.
But devastation on either side.
Is she on the right?
Yep.
Oh, no. Well, that's not
She's
good.
right
That's
down
Ted.
here, 100 yards down
looking
here.
like a,
Yeah. No,
It is.
Coming down.
No.
Unless hers is right there that went.
No. Let me see where
I get mixed up. I think. Dude, are we yet to her house?
So, hang on.
I think.
No.
he's talking about Julia Louis-Dreyfus going past her house.
Right, left here.
This
Well,
is
Ted,
Hancock Street. Trying to save an old Porsche with great memories from
That's
college.
Ted's car. Ted was so worried about his car that he had since college. So there's my friend, Dr. Tim Davis, who's a great surgeon.
Oh my God, look at that. Get back
Ted.
in. That's,
This is as we leave the
oh my
Palisades.
God, it's going
Whole
up. Look
new
at that.
corner,
Oh,
like right
shit.
a block from the ocean on a boulevard called Chautauqua. And I was like, oh my God, it's just coming down. It was just coming down everywhere. We had fire all around us. It was unbelievable. Anyway, that's where we are. So this is the anniversary. Those fires left 31 people dead, destroyed as much as $275 billion in property, and somehow Karen Bass is probably going to get reelected. I hope to God they're seeing some polling that says she's vulnerable and that Rick Caruso can defeat her, because Los Angeles will never see such prosperity, growth, hope, optimism if they don't lean into somebody like Rick. I don't think there's anyone else, honestly. So I have so many friends who lost their homes, and I can't tell you, just think they're still living in places. One of my great buddies, John McNamee, he lives in Century City. He had a beautiful house in the Palisades. He lives, they're still displaced all over the place. So it's a big day today. Big day today. People still going through a lot. Now, also a big day in court, downtown Los Angeles, you guys. Today is the arraignment of Nick Reiner. Nick Reiner will be arraigned in court today. We'll find out how he pleads. His lawyer, as you know, familiar to the Hot Mics audience, is Alan Jackson. That's not Alan, that's Nick. We don't know, I have to say up front, we don't know for absolute positive that Nick Reiner did it, but I think it's safe to assume there's enough evidence there. But again, innocent until proven guilty. Will he plead, what people want to know, will he plead insanity, and could he win that? Remember, Nick, this all went down on Sunday, December 14th. Nick was living in his family's guest house at the time. He was found late Sunday afternoon by his sister, Romy. Both parents were discovered having been stabbed. Nick was at the Conan O'Brien holiday party the night before, Saturday, December 13th. He was there with his father. He was acting erratic by all accounts, and he was loudly arguing with his father. Video shows Nick just before midnight walking around the neighborhood where his parents lived. 4 a.m. on Sunday, Nick checked into a hotel down by the Santa Monica Pier. The hotel staff said the shower was full of blood and on the bed as well, but he wasn't acting erratic. He checked in with a credit card. Hours later, Nick was arrested about 15 miles from his family home at a metro station. He is in jail right now, facing charges of first-degree murder, and the arraignment is in a matter of 2 hours, an hour and 45 minutes as we speak. Alan Jackson is his criminal defense attorney. Everybody's asking the question, how did Nick Reiner, retain the services of Alan Jackson? Nobody knows specifically the answer to that. I am going to posit and take a guess that not only was Alan Jackson retained by the family, but specifically the brother and sister, Jake and Romy. I don't know. I'm just guessing, but I think that's the case. And I'm going to just say, I think underneath it all, they love their brother and they know that feel he's not in his right mind. There is a report that he suffers from schizophrenia. If in fact they're going to go for an insanity defense, that will help. All that Alan Jackson has said is that this is a very complex and serious issues that we're facing here. Now, today's the arraignment. If Alan Jackson, as we expect, pleads not guilty for reasons of insanity, let's go through exactly kind of what's in front of them. Juries in California generally distrust it. Less than 1% of felony defendants plead insanity. So it's really, really rare. And of that, only 10 to 16% prevail. Women tend to fare better pleading insanity, especially ones who have taken the lives of their own children. That seems to be one that has worked before. For Nick, it's a different situation. He's an unemployed, fully grown, very privileged kid, right? And there's lots of video of him, and some people say unappealing video of him. I interviewed him before, but, is there a sort of did he come across well there? I don't know. Lots of people have seen him. He's not unknown. And he definitely is a kid of privilege. So I don't know how that plays with videos, with juries, but here we are in Los Angeles. I do think his siblings likely hired him. And that means they have money, which will be helpful. And what an irony that would be, that the murder victims are ultimately footing the bill. Right? And look, this comes down to psychiatric experts in a case like this. And those people cost a lot of money. They're the key to court to trials like this. So at least, the family has money. So this is something I learned, and I'll share with you. The California courts famously follow what's called the Monotone test for insanity, which is named after a guy named Daniel Monotone. Is a Scottish wood turner found insane after he came to London in 1843 and tried to kill British Prime Minister Robert Peel. Apparently, Monotone was under the delusion that the Tories, political party, were engaged in a vast conspiracy to prosecute him. Sadly, the man he killed was not actually Peel. The Monotone test has 3 elements. To be found not guilty under it, Nick Reiner would have to show that as a result of a mental disease or defect, he murdered his parents. Okay, so the reason would be 1, a mental disease or defect. Now, California excludes substance abuse from this. So if Nick at the time of the murder was high on something, that would not count in California. Moreover, drug addiction itself does not qualify as a mental disease in California, regardless whether the intoxicants caused organic brain damage or a settled mental defect or disorder which persists after the immediate effects of the intoxicant have worn off. So drugs do not qualify for mental disease or defect. However, schizophrenia does qualify, obviously. And there are multiple reports that Nick suffers from schizophrenia and that at the time his medicine was kind of off. That has been out there. Okay, so that's the first thing. If you're going for not guilty, you got to show a mental disease or defect. That's 1. 2, that Nick did not understand the nature and quality of his actions at the moment. So Nick will have to prove that he lacked a basic understanding of where he was, what was going on, what he was doing. This might have challenges. Remember, he attended Conan O'Brien's party. He argued with his father. He checked into a hotel without incident. The staff said he looked clean. So since there was blood found in the room, in the shower, in the bed, but there was none on him, he had perhaps the mental wherewithal to clean himself. He bought a Gatorade from a convenience store. He put his hands up when he was approached by the police. So there was enough awareness there. In Nick's favor, I would think, is the quote, at the moment, right? He did not understand the nature and quality of his actions at the moment, which, Alan Jackson could say perhaps this was a spontaneous, momentary psychotic break, and then he regained his faculties sort of afterwards when he checked into the hotel and whatnot. Did he understand also that he was killing human beings? I mean, like there's an example, like if you thought he was, killing like a ghost, right? Or an alien, he wouldn't need an insanity defense, right? He would say that he thought he was doing the right thing. I don't know. That's a touchy one. The third part of the Monotone rule is, did Nick not know that he was doing wrong? So in California, a defendant is considered insane if he understands exactly what he was doing, and even if he knew it was criminal, provided that as a result of a mental disease or defect, he did not know it was morally wrong. Like Jeffrey Dahmer, right, did not get off because, remember, he took painstaking efforts to conceal body parts and compartmentalize them around the house. So it sort of seemed clear that he knew he was breaking the law. So that's what, did Nick not know it was morally wrong, right? Like if you say, I've got a message from God and God told me to do this, well, then morally you would think you were doing the right thing. But if I'm carrying out Satan's decree, well, that's morally wrong. And so that's a big question. So bottom line, drug addiction, not a mental disease. Schizophrenia is. Can Alan Jackson convince the jury that Nick felt he was morally justified in his actions that night? They begin this arraignment at 9:00 this morning, downtown Los Angeles. And we will know. We will reach out. We will find out afterwards. We will see what we can learn. But anyway, that's a big day today. By the way, Mangione has his next hearing on Friday. So we have a that's January 9th. There's a lot going on. All right, to the comments here, baby. I bet he has a long history of bad behavior in sealed court records. Well, I bet from school and college and before they really knew what was going on with Nick. One thing I always think about is how much his parents loved him. I mean, his father, and we don't know, his mom was not very public, but his father was public and, really loved his son. When I remember interviewing them together, I remember how much. Imagine your whole life, someone as rich and privileged and successful as Rob Reiner. It's like there's always something, It's easy to look across the fence and be like, boy, look at all that. Look at that big fancy house. Boy, Rob Reiner's so rich. He made all those movies. And boy, I'd love to. What he dealt with every day of his life, it is just so much.
As a parent, my heart breaks. Who knows what happened in those moments at all. But if someone intrudes in your house and they're trying to kill you, you will protect yourself at all costs. But as a parent, I have to think that even in the end, he's trying to help his son, even while he's getting
mortally wounded. And that's why I think, I don't know this, but I'm guessing that Alan Jackson was retained by Nick's brother and sister, because they know that even in death, the parents would want him in a safe place, not in the Gen Pop, level 4 security with guys with, could shiv him, They probably want him in a state psychiatric facility, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what if the jury's down with that. Someone else asked a second ago that there's a Nick on a podcast. He was heard on a pod. Yeah, Joy was saying he was on a podcast and he called it and he said, if he wanted to get drugs snuck into rehab when he was in rehab, he would just start acting crazy. Acting crazy. But I don't know how many years ago that was. I don't know that really is going to make a difference. Maybe the prosecution will come. It's tough for the prosecution when normally if the parents have been murdered, right? The siblings and those around are like, get rid of this person. But it's their brother and they love him and they think, presumably that he's very unwell. So it's hard for the prosecution to go against the will of the other children, right? Who just lost their parents. Now you're going to wound them and hurt them twice. Right? So if I'm the prosecution, I don't think I'm going hard to try to put this murderer away. And I think Nathan Hochman, who is the DA, he's a new DA and he's here because he's tough on crime or he sold that. And George Gascon, who was the DA before him, was a complete wuss and didn't prosecute anyone. So Hochman does have this, he does have this sort of mandate to prosecute crime and not let people off. But in this case, I think we should get a hold of Nathan Hochman. We should get a hold of the players in this because we know them. I don't know that I'd like to get a vibe, a feel on what he's thinking. For me, this is a big one. We'll be following this, but I'll reach out to Nathan for sure and see what his intent is here, or maybe he won't share it. But I just think if I'm prosecuting this thing, I don't go hard after it. I don't. I've been in rehab for 5 days. I've been to rehab for 5 days years ago, and I learned more about drugs inside. I met a morphine dealer in there. Oh, wow. Karen, you went to rehab for 5 days. Aren't you supposed to go for 30? Maybe you saw all you needed to see or weren't ready and checked out and went at a different time. Whatever, you're so active with us and up early and clear-headed in the morning, it seems to me that you ultimately were victorious. Okay, let's see. Here's Cleo. From what I've read, he lived with his parents still as an adult. Also, I find extremely annoying that they had to emotionally babysit him all his life. He never got his shit together. Well, what you're expressing is an emotion that, like I mentioned earlier, they're up against juries. Don't remember. We began talking about this by saying less than 1% of felony defendants plead insanity, and of those less than 1%, only 10 to 16% prevail. Women who have killed their children fare the best. Nick perhaps isn't the most sympathetic character if because of the wealth and the privilege. They call it Nepo baby here. But I look, schizophrenia, mental illness is not, it doesn't discern. It doesn't look at your socioeconomic status. It's a disease. I think people on a jury, I just don't see how they would miss that. I don't know. Dr. Drew, here we go, Jackie said, Dr. Drew said, biggest mistake was Rob Michelle didn't seek counseling to help navigate the mess without getting sucked in and manipulated. I can't do it alone. Dr. Drew even seeks counsel treating addicts. Well, I don't know. I mean, okay, Drew, but I'm sure they tried. Didn't they try everything? I think they've been in and out of 18 rehabs, and if there was anything on the table to try, they would. I think there was one report that the schizophrenia medicine was changing, or it was off. I don't know if that's the case. I'm just saying that if Alan can prove that, then he's definitely in a vulnerable state. I don't know. I don't know, but it's hard to, I see a lot of stuff out there, people criticizing, Rob and Michelle Reiner for how they cared for their kid. I don't get that. How do you criticize people in that situation? Jesus, I couldn't imagine if I had a schizophrenic son that I don't know if, I'm impressed at how level-headed and calm, Rob remained. And then I'm sure it bolted up. They fought at Conan's house. I mean, it must be like, you're constantly like, ah. It's interesting was that I wonder if they can prove it, if it comes out in the case. What I often think about is, can drugs if he never was an addict, if he never did drugs, would that, whatever he had as a mental illness or whatever seed was in there, would it have ever grown to the big disease that it was? Did he unearth it, right? And pour gas on what would be embers? I don't know. Rob said they listened to the wrong people with diplomas instead of their son. Well, he said that 10 years ago, 9 years ago in the interview, said it to me. We listened to wrong people with diplomas instead of their son. And then we listened to our son. Look, well, yeah, you have a sick person and also he's an addict. And an addict will tell you, I don't need this, I don't need that, and I don't know. We started listening to our son. I don't know that, again, Rob's a fool for that. He's tried everything. So he's like, okay, let's try Nick. Let's listen to him. Maybe we just need to listen to our boy. I don't know. We're at wit's end. I have a very hard time accusing the parents here. Right? I really do. That's a position I would hate to be in. I don't know that I could survive it. Joy says, I've watched my best friend and many other friends struggle over their children. It's the hardest thing to do, right? And everybody's great at giving advice to other people in other situations. No one's better than me. Oh my God. Come sit down with me and I'll tell you what you got to do. You know what you really need to do here? You need to do this. You need to do that. I'm a shit show in my own life. Okay? I got enough going on in my own I can't solve, but I've got a lot of people who have all the remedies in the world for me. It's so much easier to look at other people's shit, right? Take your eyes off your own. And you all have it. Present company included. The siblings will be called as witnesses. Do you think they will be sympathetic during the testimony? I absolutely do. I do. I really think this whole thing is coming from the siblings. I'm guessing. I don't know. And by the way, I spoke to Alan not long ago. He won't say anything. He's a wall. Which is probably why he's so good. I know plenty of lawyers who are happy to chirp and, it's off the record, but they're feeding you all kinds of stuff. Alan's not that guy. Yeah, here's Kim. Let's say it's easy to see from the outside and judge, but being a parent and struggling to help your child, trying everything and always praying, this time you'll help them find the solution, right? You never give up. Totally. I could write a book on what my family went through with 3 mentally ill siblings. Oh my God. Schizophrenia, bipolar, hallucinations, depression, addiction, and more. 3 of your siblings? Oh my God. How many of you are there? Which came the first, the drug abuse or the psychosis? That's, was there underlying psychosis? I mean, recently, a very good friend of mine, whom you all know, his wife kind of just went off the reservation. And I think that there was, my guess is, my feeling is there was an underlying condition, but then something was put on top of that. And that just sets it ablaze. You know what I mean? And it could have gone at low levels and manageable throughout life without it. Yeah. Doctor, we're following up here. 2 of my siblings out of the 3 with deep mental illness are no longer alive. I'm the youngest of 5. So 3 out of 5 with severe mental disease, schizophrenia. and bipolar. Oh my God. You're the youngest of 5. Wow. What your parents have been through, what you've been through. You've got love here. Mental illness runs in my family. I think mental illness affects everyone's family, right? I mean, you have to have it, I haven't thought it out, but it runs in mine. We all have something. It's like cancer, right? Someone in your family or someone very close to you has cancer, is dealing with cancer. It's unavoidable. That's one thing that connects us. I hope you get Dr. Drew on your show. Well, I can text him. He's in that 24-year Rolodex. Why don't we, yeah, Steve, let's. Possibly could pivot today. I don't know. Got a good show scheduled today. Well, we'll see what happens. Problem is we are live at 10 a.m. now. Probably shouldn't have moved it to 10 a.m. When the arraignment is 9 a.m. But I don't know. I think we can probably do it when we want. We might not go 10 a.m. live today. Maybe we don't. Maybe for today we go at 2 o'clock if we see what happens at 9. This will be over quickly. It's just an arraignment. I don't think it lasts longer than a half an hour. I wonder if Rob, here's Karen, says, a lot of people named Karen, and I'm so sorry. We have so many Karens in here, right? Because it's like 2025 did a terrible thing 2020 and COVID did a terrible thing for your name. I wonder if Rob spoke to his children about being afraid of Nick. We will find out if this is right. If Jake and Romy, Nick's siblings, hit the stand, I'm sure Alan will be asking them these questions. Here's Joy. Steve and Billy, I have a great person for you to talk to. I can email you his story and give you his name. Just let me know. Yeah, please. We take all tips and nudges here at the mighty Hot Mics. But we have nice Karens too, not Karens. That's funny. Yeah. And by the way, let's not forget Karen Reed. That was a big one. I don't think anyone really went off on a tangent about the Karen thing with her. We have an army of nice Karens. Yeah. And we consider Karen Reed a friend. Mental illness does affect everyone in one way or another. It takes a lot of courage to seek help. Seek it anyway. Mental health professionals truly want to help. That's right. Says Jackie, parents can't do it alone without counseling. They get too dependent, thinking they're helping, but they end up enabling without realizing. I think that's really true. Yeah. Yeah, Sharon, what do you say about that? Great chat going. Great chat. This is major stuff, man. I mean, Alan Jackson really, he's got his work cut out for him, but there's no one better these days. I mean, we are going to find out today very clearly who hired Alan Jackson officially. And I'm going to say that I would be very surprised if it's anyone other than Nick's siblings, Jake and Romy. It might be in conjunction with an uncle or an aunt or something, but I think they'll be at the center of it. I think they're destroyed and bereaved and sad, but also they love their brother underneath it all, which I don't know. To me, that's like a triumph of the family. I mean, that's and we know Rob Reiner is one of the real progressive, diehard, bleeding heart liberals of the world. And that would be backing it up. You know what I mean? Because a real liberal progressive doesn't believe in the death penalty, right? And has endless sympathy and empathy for the mentally ill. I just hope that Donald Trump does no more commenting on this. Let's just don't do that. Don't forget, Carl Reiner left millions in inheritance, I'm sure, for each kid. Nick may have his own money. And by the way, if he had the wherewithal to call Alan Jackson, that's going to end up hurting him, right? I mean, you it's hard to claim that you were out of your right mind when you picked up the phone and called Alan Jackson. I mean, so there's that. Carl Reiner, oh my God, was he a wonderful man. He was so nice to me. Poor Alan is looking very tired, says Britt. I hope he's taking good care of himself. Well, if you've ever sat across from Alan Jackson, and I have many, many times, he is a very fit man. He's a frighteningly fit man. Holy God. I'm 100% neurotic. Let's just get that in there. But I don't think in a diagnosed way, Nefertiti. I think we're talking about in a Woody Allen way, maybe. A Larry David way, right? I lived, look at this. Barbara says, I lived for 30 years misdiagnosed and wrongly medicated. I don't know how I survived. Wow. So you were on medication for 30 years being told you were what, bipolar or something? Well, how did that not force you into some type of disease? How much medication, what were they giving you for 30 years? I mean, if you care to follow up, we would love to know, Barbara. Wow. Keep an eye on Barbara, full of questions, because we are full of questions, Barbara. Oh my God, I'm so sorry to hear that. Here's Joy. My dad was so sharp up until he passed. I think it was because my dad worked until he passed at 84. I think my mom did not socialize enough. You got to keep moving. I think those are about people who care for the ill. I don't know. Some shrinks need shrinks, and I bet all shrinks need shrinks. Oh my God. I believe if the Reiners knew he was schizophrenic, they would have never left him at the party, Conan O'Brien's holiday party. Like, there's no way. So the schizophrenia narrative is BS to me. I don't think they could control him, right? I don't think there's probably certain places, times he's not listening to them. Having a child on the spectrum with high anxiety has had manic episodes in the past. It's so difficult to protect your child and yourself. So very hard. Is that you, Carol? Your child's on the spectrum? Manic episodes in public? Oh, I just think of those people. I couldn't imagine being a person who's like, oh my God, look at that bad parent. Oh my God. You know, I'm like, oh my, is there anything I can do? Where are those people? You know, I mean, all you have to do is have kids at all to know like how difficult it is. Kids without diagnoses. You're on an airplane, you know, and they're screaming and crying. You're so embarrassed all the people are behind you. You know, there's some grumpy dude who never got married, like, control your kids. Yeah. That guy, I want to go over and whoops, your tray. I didn't, sorry. Sorry about that. Your Bloody Mary is all over your capri pants, pal. Yep. That's been reported widely, Danielle. He was on new meds and weren't working. TMZ reported that. Why would you take a seriously mentally unstable son to it's not a black tie event. Conan O'Brien's holiday party could not be a black tie event. That's just everybody drifting in and out, you know, hitting the buffet, you know, having a chit chat with Bill Hader. Nothing makes me have anxiety or sweat more than my kids screaming on an airplane. No kidding, right? Holy shit. This is a big day. This is a big day in court today. Imagine it's all happening on January 7th. I always feel like that happens. I always feel like major days. There's certain days like October 7th is a big one in my mind. And the 7th, what is it about the 7th? January 7th. And October 7th for me, that's the day, obviously, that the Israeli kids were brutally murdered and raped, kidnapped by Hamas. And, you know, in my own life, my daughter's boyfriend, who's of 7 years, they're so cute, they're so in love. When he was 17 years old, his father died on that day. And it's the day that NBC leaked to the bus tape, and and in trying to take out Trump and ultimately fired me. So, but you know what? I used to get so much PTSD on the 7th. It drifts by now. Yeah. Everything settles. It takes a long time, but everything settles in its right place. Everybody who was there and involved in all that, gone or fired. And look where we are, Steve. Building the beautiful thing that we're building. And boy, did we have some good meetings yesterday.
We're growing. We got stuff out there.
My challenge, Steve, is to stay what? Clear. No martinis for Billy until this is built. And thank you all for being with us on that mission. Oh my God. We're on a mission. You are where you need to be right now, Billy, bringing us all joy every day. I'm bringing joy every day. I'm bringing it right now. I'm bringing it right now. There she is. Look at this. My son was shot by the Lexington, Massachusetts police 4 years on February 12th, living in a mental health home. You can read the Save Me op-ed, Boston Globe. I need the DA to change the policy with police interaction to de-escalate. I'm bringing them EMS. Oh, sorry. I'm having a hard time with that one. I can't quite get it out. I worry about my son all the time. He's the sweetest kid. He's 30. But when the anxiety gets a hold of his mental state, it just spirals. But he hasn't had any episodes in years. Yeah, but you live on pins and needles, wondering when the next one is going to come and hoping it's not each day. And that's got to be so hard. No one ever said parenting is easy. No, but it's worth it, right? It gives you purpose. And we all need purpose. I'm in the right place. We're going to be a dry house because our son will be on parole here. Wow. Love to have him here. Isn't that amazing? Look, this is proof right now. Everybody has something, right? Everybody, even the ones you're like, God, those kids, he's got 3 kids and they're all perfect. No, sit down and ask him. Talk a little longer. Ask a few more questions. I don't know. Billy, your studio, parenting is the hardest job. Someone said our studio looks dark. It looks dark. I missed yesterday's sunlight. Oh, I know. Yeah. You know what? Maybe we'll brighten some things up. I don't know. We'll maybe blast a few more lights or we could. We'll see what happens.
Also, as the warmer weather in the summer comes, we could be out by the pool or something, Bill. We could
do an outdoor show.
I mean, why
cables,
not?
Right?
Yeah, we move everywhere.
When the weather returns, we're going to set up a nice little Let's bring a whole desk outside.
Seriously. Like really. It's not that hard.
Yeah, we'll do it outside. Absolutely. Listen, you guys, what a day. That arraignment starts in almost little over an hour. We will be paying very close attention to that. Couple other final thoughts here. I have a thought that maybe Rob Reiner had Alan Jackson on retainer for Nick. I think I heard Nick did have some minor legal issues. Just a thought. Maybe the relationship was already there. I don't know. That's an interesting point. You know, we will find out eventually. I'm sure Alan will come back on Hot Mics with me to discuss this case. He's open about it. He's a good communicator, and I think they just have to get the ground rules set. This is interesting. October 7th in the Catholic Church is the feast day of Our Lady of the Rosary. The Rosary is the most powerful weapon of our faith. Good always triumphs over evil. Okay, but why wasn't Our Lady of the Rosary looking out on that day? Maybe that's the day that bad things happen and then later they get corrected. I don't know. All I know is that, my own faith has concluded that God does not direct events, right? He doesn't control the will. We all have will, right? He doesn't control the will of the human being to do good or evil. It's within everyone. So, but I do think, hugs to our whole Hot Mics chat. Yeah, you guys are great. I love you. I love you so much. We have some things to do. We got a 10 o'clock. We will be back. It will be live today. I have an interesting guest. And it was sort of built off the back of Monday's news. Monday's news about vaccinations, and that the recommended vaccination schedule in our country will go from 17 vaccines to 11, which is in line with Denmark. And it leads to, when I think vaccines, I think about the demand that everybody get vaccinated for COVID back in 2020, 21. People were shamed very heavily for not being vaccinated. And one of them is a person that I tracked down that I know very well. Perhaps you remember, in 2007, I hosted a TV show for NBC called Grease, You're the One That I Want. And the winner was this girl, Laura Osnes, and another guy named Max Crum. And the two of them, for winning the TV show, got to star on Broadway in a major production of Grease, You're the One That I Want. I mean, of just Grease. Sorry, that was the name of the TV show. Anyway, she had a great run. She got other leading roles after that. She had a 13-year run on Broadway. And then the gossipy, snobby, elitist, nasty little Broadway community found out, oh my God, she's not vaccinated. And she was just attending an event, a small event during COVID when everybody wasn't working. And they shamed her and ran her out of her life and career, and she never returned to Broadway. It infuriates me. It infuriates me. These little elitist little shits and the gossip columnists that still report on Broadway and the nasty things they say to each other. So we will have her on today. And it's an amazing story.
Bill, do you want to talk about, and you can say, we can save it. So maybe I'm teasing, who we're going to have on at 11 and what you're doing tomorrow, what we're doing here?
Oh,
or should we save it?
Okay. We'll save it. We'll save it. But 11 o'clock.
We'll tease it.
We have a great guest on, and who I know very well, who deals with some heavy, some issues of the ego. But forget about all that. All right, off we go. Thanks for being with us. Rock and roll. See you tomorrow. And we out. Boom. Let's go. Pay attention to the new. If not in the courtroom, certainly right outside the courtroom. On every channel. Love you guys. Have a wonderful day. Happy Hump Day. January 7th. LA strong, baby. Happy birthday, Rick.